Hi everybody, welcome to this week's segment of Health Talk. So we'll continue with the bone marrow. So we had stopped at the neutrophils, which is the first line of defense, and the first thing to go on the scene of the crime, and then the cleanup crew come. So now we're going to look at the bone marrow. So the bone marrow contains stem cells that can develop into a variety of cell types. The common myeloid progenitor stem cell in the bone marrow is the precursor to innate immune cells. Neutrophils, eosinophils, basophil, mast cell, monocytes, dendritic cells, and macrophage, which is that's our important first line responders to infection. So let us proceed. So the common lymphoid progenitor stem cell leads to adaptive immune cells, B cells and T cells, that are responsible for mounting responses to specific microbes based on previous encounters. Right? So natural killer NK cells also are derived from the common lymphoid progenitor and share features of both innate and adaptive immune cells, as they provide immediate defenses like innate cells, but also may be retained as memory cells like adaptive cells. B, T, and NK cells are also called lymphocytes through a series of changes that can occur in different parts of the body because the blood, the monocytes or lymphocytes, is made in the bone marrow. Well, some of them are made in the bone marrow, some of the lymphocytes. So the bloodstream. Immune cells constantly circulate throughout the bloodstream, patrolling for problems. So we have they're patrolling the area. So whenever there's something, they pick it up right away. So when blood tests are used to monitor white blood cells, another term for immune cells, a snapshot of the immune system is taken. If a cell type is either scarce or overabundant in the bloodstream, this may reflect a problem because everything has to be in balance. It can't be too less or too much. It has to be the right amount. Then you have the thymus, which is a cell in the immune system, or the lymphatic system. So T cells mature in the thymus, a small organ located in the upper chest. So it's here. A type of T cells can provide help to other cells in the immune response by recognizing foreign antigens and secreting substance called cytokines and activate T and B cells. So everything is working together. Right, so this one now, it's recognize a pathogen or antigen or foreign matter, and it called the necessary team to come to the scene. And then there's also the blood cells that are patrolling the area. So a lot of things do happen there. So the lymphatic system is a network of vessels and tissues composed of lymph and extracellular fluid and lymphoid organs such as the lymph nodes. The lymphatic system is conduit for traveling and communication between tissues and the bloodstream. Immune cells are carried through the lymphatic system and converge in lymph nodes, which are found throughout the body. Wow. So there's a communication system. So that's like the where you patch the calls to go to the necessary areas of the crime, etc. So it's like the military system and the police system. Backup, everything is there. Right? So lymph nodes are a communication hub where immune cells samples information brought in from the body. So for instance, if adaptive immune cells in the lymph nodes recognize species of a microbe brought from a distant area, they will activate, replicate, and leave the lymph node to circulate and address the pathogen. So thus, doctors may check patients for swollen lymph nodes, which may indicate an active immune response. So when there is an issue, and the person will go to the doctor, they will check for the lymph nodes because it would be swollen, because it is in action, right? So many of us say the spleen is not necessary and it is not needed, but it is there for a reason. So the spleen is an organ located behind the stomach. While it is not directly connected to the lymphatic system, it is important for processing information from the bloodstream. Immune cells are enriched in specific areas of the spleen, and upon recognizing blood-borne pathogens, they will activate and respond accordingly. So the spleen is the largest organ in the lymphatic system. It is an important organ for keeping body fluids balanced. The spleen acts as a blood filter. It controls the amount of red blood cells and blood storage in the body. So the spleen is very important. And it also helps fight infections. So all of this is coming together to help fight off infection. If the spleen detects potential dangerous bacteria, viruses, or other microorganisms in the body, it will, along with the lymph nodes, create white blood cells called lymphocytes, which acts as defenders against invaders. So when the blood flows into the spleen, and blood cells must pass through narrow passages within the organ. So the spleen is very important, but we can live without it because other organs come together in the place if it is not there. So there are backups. So when blood flows into the spleen, a red blood cell must pass through narrow passages within the organ. Yes. So it is a pathway for the red blood cells. So healthy blood cells can easily pass, but old or damaged blood cells are broken down by large white blood cells. So the spleen will save any useful components from the old blood cells. Wow, including iron, so they can reuse in a new cell. So it's like a filtration system, the spleen, right? So the spleen can increase in size in order to store blood. So can you imagine a small spleen just becomes so big because it's storing blood? The organ can widen or narrow depending on the body's needs. At its largest, the spleen can hold up to a cup of reserve blood. Wow, can you imagine how important the spleen is? So it's like a reservoir for blood when we don't have enough, right? So we call on the spleen. So spleen removal surgery is called splenectomy. In case where trauma, the blood disorders or whatever it is, sickle cell anemia, cancer, to name a few, spleen removal is typically a minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery, meaning that surgeon can make several small incisions and use special tools and a small camera to conduct the surgery. So it's not really a lot of things to do, but it may it may cause problem for when the spleen is being removed if it's not done properly. Yeah, so we will continue next week on this point where we'll continue about the spleen and move on. So see you guys next week.